Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the One and O podcast. I'm Avery Hill.
I'm Lexi Linderman.
I'm Will Horseman.
There wasn't too much going on this week with Penn State football, but last week was the NFL Combine. There were Penn State players obviously competing. We talked about it a little bit in our last episode, but the episode was recorded before many players, including Drew Allar, Katron Allen, and Vega Iwane, competed in the Combine. So we'll talk about that today. I want to start with Drew Allar. Drew Allar threw after many people didn't expect him to throw. Obviously, he had his ankle injury. Many people didn't expect him to compete in the Combine at all, but right before the Combine, I believe Adam Schefter reported that Drew Allar will be throwing in the combine. Obviously, he didn't run coming off of that broken ankle, and I mean he competed well. I mean he measured in at 6'5", 228 pounds. 9 7/8 inch hands. So a lot of positive reviews from Drew Allar. I wanted to kind of toss it to you guys. I mean, how did you think Drew Allar performed, and what did he do for his stock?
I think Drew Allar performed exactly how I expected Drew Allar to perform. This is a guy where you know the potential that he has. Like Penn State fans, like the media, like the coaches, everyone has known the potential that Drew Allar has as a quarterback. He has just never actually put it all together at Penn State. Like the arm talent is undeniable. Like I think he said in one of his media session that he believes he has the best arm talent in the draft. And like I agree with him. Like I do think his arm talent is probably one of the best, if not the best in the draft. And that is just something that like we've always known. And so like obviously when he's throwing at the combine, like he's gonna look really good. Like that was expected. I think obviously the deep ball looked really good from him. He had a really good throwing performance, which is honestly all that the scouts could see. Obviously, like we said, he didn't test because of that ankle injury and everything, but he looked really good. And like I think he definitely helped his stock. I do think it's going to be interesting to see how his interviews with teams went because I think that will have an impact on his stock as well. I know there were a lot of not like character concerns at Penn State, but he wasn't always the best leader. Kind of had some emotion issues, like post-game press conferences, like kind of crying, like being a little heated on the field, like kind of some things like that. So, I mean, like I think it'll depend on how those went, but like just like athletic performance wise, like I definitely think he helped his stock, but I also think this is something where like a team is gonna bite and think like, wow, this guy has so much potential. And like if they don't develop him the right way and give him the right coaching that he never really got at Penn State, like I don't know if it'll work out for him. So I honestly think yes, it helps his stock, but still, if he doesn't end up in the right situation, like it's going to be tough for him in the NFL. But kind of like I said, the arm talent's undeniable. He put that on display at the combine, and he'll do it again at pro day. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Allar, if like the NFL draft, if like NFL teams drafted solely based on like potential and not looking at like past production or stuff like that, I'd feel like Drew Allar would be a surefire lock for the first round. I mean, like Lexi said, the arm talent is undeniable. Like he can make it basically any throw on the field, but the issue with Drew is like he just never put it together at Penn State. You could blame it on him. You could blame it on the wide receiver situation, as Penn State never really had like all that great of a wide receiver room while Drew Allar was at Penn State and starting. You could blame it on the coaching staff not developing him well enough. But the actual answer is probably like a little bit of all that. Like I think it's just all that kind of caused him to not fully live up to his like five-star potential. Because I mean, when he came to Penn State, it's like he was easily like you could easily projected him as like a potential first overall pick in the NFL draft when he coming out of high school. He was rated as like the number three overall prospect by 247. So I mean, yeah, the potential is undeniable, but it's the results weren't always there. They were like the production, but it's like these like throws against in the combine or in pro day, it's going to easily boost his stock because he's just going to be able to showcase his biggest strength, which is like arm talent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, coming into Penn State, that was again the verdict on Drew Allar. I mean, he was a guy that had all these physical tools, and you come in and you see comparisons to the likes of Josh Allen with the arm talent that he has, with his size again, 6'5", almost 230 pounds. Obviously, you never know where he'll play at in the NFL. He's always had the physical tools, and him showing up was exactly what he needed to do. I do think that there will be some sort of movement in the draft because of that, potential. But, your worry is when you get to these, big moments. Okay, is he going to make the big throw? I think part of his struggles at Penn State also had to do with that vertical passing game. I think it's come a long way since what it was when he was, a young player, his first year as a starter. But I do think that the vertical passing game obviously was an issue. And it wasn't just the fact that they weren't making the plays down the field, they weren't calling plays to throw the ball down the field. Obviously, it's a reference to something that we all kind of know, but throwing the ball down the field was just not something that happened a lot. When I watched Drew Allar, I mean, if you just take a blind look at the stat line for me, if you see, an interception or two interceptions for Drew Allar, usually, I mean, he'll have, 250 yards, 300 yards, unless it's, those clutch interceptions. But for the most part, when he's throwing interceptions, throughout the routine of the game, early in the game, it's him taking chances. And obviously, there's things to clean up in that area. But at the same time, it's kind of what you want Drew to do at some point because it's like you have the arm talent. You have to use it, whether that is, due to the scheme or due to, just his decision making on reads. I mean, it's something that you have to explore. But I mean, so far the draft reviews haven't, shot him all the way up the boards. I'm taking a look at a couple big boards. Daniel Jeremiah only released his top 50 coming out of the combine, and Drew Allar isn't on that list. Bleacher Report, I believe, has Drew Allar at 101 and placed Garrett Nussmeier as the number three quarterback ahead of Drew Allar. And then obviously ahead of that would be Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza. And I believe he's ranked 91st for PFF, and again under Grant Nuss or Garrett Nussmeier. So I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out. I mean, I think Drew Allar again has the physical tools to do it. I think that he does end up driving or rising up the draft boards due to who's available and what teams need as teams are looking for quarterbacks. Even if they say, okay, I can take Drew Allar as a quarterback right now, he can be my backup for however so many years, and then he becomes, your Sam Darnolds of the world. Your, I guess, I can't believe I'm saying Malik Willis's of the world. He's commanding, I guess, $30 million a year. I don't really understand that. But hey, that's just me, and that's way off topic. But I mean, there is a chance that he rises up. I mean, do you guys think that there's a chance that he, makes it to the first round? Maybe like the bottom of the first round? Like, do you think that there's a shot at this point?
I think that there's a shot. Teams get very desperate with quarterbacks. Like we've seen that especially I like Fernando Mendoza is an incredible quarterback, but like a lot of years, like this guy is not the number one overall pick in the draft. And it's because the Raiders need a quarterback that he will be the number one overall pick in the draft. And like that's completely understandable and like that's really fine. But it's like teams get very quarterback needy. And I think Drew Allar is a guy like it kind of reminds me like the Jackson Dart thing last year. Like the Giants traded back into the first round to get Jackson Dart when like this is a guy that I don't really think a lot of people expected to go in the first round until kind of like you hear these mumblings that the Giants are interested in him and things like that. So I think like like especially like this quarterback class, like there are not like after Fernando Mendoza, it's like your options are very like interesting in a sense. Like all of them were supposed to perform really well in college this year and then just kind of didn't, and now you don't really know like how they're going to shape out in the NFL. And so I think that leaves a lot of uncertainty for teams, but like a guy like Drew Allar who can throw and has the arm talent, that's undeniable. Like I can see a team taking a chance on him at the end of the first round because it's things like his footwork, like just like stuff that like I feel like NFL teams will think like that's coachable, like we can fix that. That they'll be like, okay, like this guy's arm is too good to pass. Like let's just go for it. Could it result in a GM getting fired down the road? Like who knows? But like I do think like it's possible that he definitely sneaks into the first round. Do I anticipate that happening? Like not necessarily, but anything can happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, if he like reaches his like full potential in the NFL, he would be more than worth it for a first round pick. But will that actually happen? I mean, I guess we'll see. But I mean, yeah, is he has like the intangibles or like the stuff like you can't necessarily teach, but he's just needs like Lexi said, he needs to kind of work on his footwork and like just like the other stuff like that. It is coachable and is like fixable. So I could definitely see like a NFL team saying like, oh, like I could fix him because if he reaches his full potential, he could be a really good starter, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, if he reaches full potential, which is the if is is the reason why his stock is where it is, he could be a really good quarterback. I kind of think of, I guess, I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison, but you can look at Jalen Hurts with Alabama slash Oklahoma, wherever you want to claim that he came from. That was a second round guy. Obviously with Carson Wentz in the room at the time, that was more of a potential. It was sit him on the bench, see what happens. And again, you could very well see that with Drew Allar. But I kind of want to go into our next topic, which is still on the NFL Combine. I mean, a lot of Penn State players tested really well. You look at Deni Dennis Sutton, right under a 4.47, which is really good for his size, but 6'6", 256 pounds. Zane Durant tested really well. You looking all up and down the board, Vega Iwane, he was obviously a guy that everyone knew is, this freak athlete, a guy who can make plays, a guy who can move, a guy who can, power through guys. And it kind of brings me to, the question. I mean, you think about the reason, or not the reason, but I would say a lot of part of why Penn State has had this success, not just this year, but in previous years, guys like Chop Robinson, guys like Troy Apke, you can go Saquon Barkley, of course, which is a lot different than a lot of other guys, and even Nick Singleton, who, if he had participated, probably would have done a really good job. Part of that comes from your strength staff. Obviously, Chuck Losey followed James Franklin to Virginia Tech. Obviously, Matt Campbell brought in his own strength staff from Iowa State. I mean, do you think that the success that Penn State has had in the combine, at least from an athletic perspective, will that be replicated, in this new era?
Um, I don't I'm gonna say like I don't think so, but like very like I'm very like hesitant to say that because out like Zane Durant is kind of just like a freak athlete. And Denai Dennis Sutton in that same sense is also kind of like a freak athlete. And so like those are just two instances where like I don't know how much of that was Chuck Losey and how much of that was like those dudes just being like incredible athletes. Because I think like when you get to this level of football, like every guy is gonna be like an incredible athlete. It's just like your strength coach is supposed to bring that full potential like out of you. And I think that Chuck Losey has always done a really good job at doing that. I also think it's hard because like we don't really like know anything about this Iowa State strength coach like at the moment. Because like we knew like how Losey ran winter workouts, like we knew like how he approached like the off season and everything like that. Because we like talk to him at least once every year. With that, we haven't spoken with the Iowa State strength coach yet, but I do think like Losey is definitely one of the top strength coaches in the country, and the fact that Penn State has consistently produced NFL talent like they have in recent years, despite not winning a bunch of meaningful things, I guess you could say, is obviously a testament to him and how he develops these guys athletically. So I do think it'll be interesting to see moving forward. I don't think necessarily that they'll replicate that success, but I also don't think the dip in success is going to be like that drastic where you like it like really catches your eye. So
I mean, yeah, I mean, with like the Iowa, like a lot of guys from like Iowa State coming into the staff. I mean, if you keep like recruiting just like the like maybe like top tier like high school talents, like you're gonna get like very athletic, like very highly athletic like players into your program, and which should, if they're like developed correctly, that would translate to them performing well like in the combine and pro days and like all like the pre-draft process. So, I mean we'll see like if like say I the new strength staff could kind of replicate like some of the success Penn State has had in like these like on field like testing like numbers they've had in recent years. So I mean I think it's a big thing that we just need to wait and see and like see once we get to know these people.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can obviously look at the history of Iowa State, but you guys bring up a good point. It is a lot on recruiting. Obviously, the chance to attract top tier talent, you're going to get guys who are these freaking natures, who are, incredible athletes. But again, that's still a testament. Their performance is still a testament to the work Chuck Losey put in. Obviously, you have the pre-draft process as well, which you're able to, further refine these times, make sure you're good. But you've always known that Penn State is going to have these freak athletes. I mean, I mentioned, the long range of guys. I even thought about Joey Porter, who I believe had at least 19, 20 reps on the bench press, which he has long arms. That is not an easy feat to do. But again, but also the combine is not, that's not the gospel. We talk about Drew Allar. A lot of guys are going to show potential, and it's not just what you can do in that straight athletic, straight line speed and three cone. That's not going to make an NFL career. But I mean, I think that Penn State has done a really good job historically. I think looking at taking a brief look at some Iowa State guys that'll come out, the one that sticks out to me, obviously, Jalen Noel, who's, a Texan right now. He ran a 4.39 40. I've heard some good things about the speed of Brett Eskelson. I think he hit 22 or 20 something miles an hour on a touchdown last year. He's a guy that I could definitely see, have a good combine performance. And then you can look at guys up front. I mean, Penn State, the one big difference I see now is that you now have, these absolute mammoths on the defensive side. But on the offensive side, you've always had that. I mean, Cooper Cousins, Anthony Donko has pretty good size himself. So Penn State is going to continue to have the size. I think the most interesting thing to me, as I mentioned, is to see how that defensive line room will shape out athletically. When you have guys that are, 320 pounds, 330 pounds, that's going to make a big difference. So yeah, I mean, I think Penn State will, always be Penn State. I think the recruiting part is going to be important for Matt Campbell. But again, I mean, none of that matters if you're not able to win football games. Obviously, Penn State did it for a period of time, but last season happened how it happened, and that's kind of how things sit. But I kind of wanted to transition into, some other key performances in the combine. I thought Zakee Wheatley looked well. He didn't run all of the drills, but I thought he looked pretty well. We mentioned Vega Iwane, and those are two guys that could be, Vega Iwane, he's probably locked in to be a day one pick. Zakee Wheatley, he has a chance to really slide up. I saw a mock draft where he's, I believe, 57th right now to the San Francisco 49ers. And, that would be a good opportunity for him. Obviously, they had Jair Brown a few years ago. Being on a team like that, defense like that is an incredible opportunity in itself. But are there any other guys that you guys think could slide up there? I mean, we talked about Denied and Sutton. Anyone else that you think, because of their combine performance, could either move up there or just move up in the draft as a whole?
Yeah, I think obviously like the easy choice here is deny. Like I think his like the way he like tested athletically, like that's a guy that like some people are gonna take a chance on. Like I could see end first round, like very early second round, and I don't think he goes past like the middle of the second round for sure. That's just kind of a guy where like you have this like athletic freak, like you just got to kind of take a chance on it. Um, in terms of like some other guys, I'm trying to think. Like I think Zane like maybe definitely boosted his stock a little bit, could see some slide upwards for sure. Just because fastest 40-yard dash among defensive tackles, but he is obviously on the smaller side for a defensive tackle, kind of like throughout his entire career, I can say that's been the case, and that's not going to change. So I think that's just the one thing that's kind of holding him back. Obviously, he is incredibly athletic, like I said earlier. So I think he's a guy that can maybe slide up a little bit. And then like the interesting one for me is Katron Allen because I don't like I just don't know where he's gonna go. Like I think probably day two, but like I could also see him sliding later. I could see him being in the second round. Like it's just like I don't really know where he's gonna end up because he's not like the most insanely athletic guy. Like, that was always Nick Singleton. And obviously Nick Singleton didn't get to test because he's dealing with that broken foot. So he doesn't really have a chance to even like do anything to his stock. So I think the interesting one is gonna be Kaytron now because the running back class this year, like you've got Jeremiah Love, who's gonna be in the top 10, and then you've got Katron and Nick, you've got Jadarian Price, like Jonah Coleman, like guys like that. And it's like Katron could be drafted in the second round just because of the sparse talent, like the sparse, like it's not a very deep. It's well, no, it's a deep running back class, but there aren't as many superstars. So it's like I could see Katron like kind of being in that second round, especially after the year he had this year. So I don't know, but I don't know if he like necessarily improved his stock at the combine. Like I think it kind of just like he tested how like most people would expect him to. So I don't know, but he's an interesting one for me. But I definitely think Zane helped his case and deny as well for sure.
I mean,
I was gonna say, I mean, I think for Katron Allen though, like you bring up the point of, him not, maybe not increasing his stock, but I think a win for him is the fact that he definitely didn't decrease it. Obviously, him not choosing to run drills and things, or the athletic drills and things like that, obviously would help that case. I don't think if I was him, I would have ran the 40 because if it falls to, your 4.6s of the world and things like that, like that doesn't look good with scouts. But I mean, I think he looked good otherwise, and I think that is, kind of a win in that sense.
yeah, I mean, to add on the running backs, I mean, I think Nick Singleton, I mean, he's been mocked in the third round by some mock drafts, even after he's suffered his broken foot. So I think that's could be like an interesting like storyline to watch heading into the draft if Singleton can stay in the day two range of the draft. Because I mean, we all know he's just very like athletic, very fast, like home run threats. Like so, he could definitely be an intriguing prospect for like a day two pick for some of these NFL teams. And then I mean, Katron. I mean, if you want production, it's like he had a whole lot of production in 2025. I mean, he broke the Penn State all-time career rushing record. Um, but I mean, yeah, he's not the most like athletic guy, but it's like he's certainly a power back. And I think if someone wants like a compliment to maybe a more one of their more current um like athletic backs or like a bit more faster of a running backs, like Katron Island would be like kind of a like a perfect pick for that team in like late day two, early day three.
Well, that's all we have for today. For more coverage, visit us at psucollegian.com and follow us on socials. You can also subscribe to our newsletter for content curated right to your inbox every Friday. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.